Tonight's Modern Men is powered by the Hero Initiative. Interested in becoming a hero? Go to heroinitiative.org to see how you can be a hero to those comic creators in need. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to Modern Men. Let me unmute everybody here. I had to get the show started somehow, so hit the mutes buttons. But nonetheless, it's the Kingdom Come special. I've been waiting for this episode for quite a long time. And I know these guys over here who haven't read it, and then this guy down here who loves this book. I had a feeling he was going to love this book. We'll go down the panel first, but my God, there's like things growing in the beard this week. It's all kinds of mayhem and chaos. Andy, how you doing? How's the beard?
I'm doing great, man. This beard, dare I say, is growing at gigabyte speed now. Hashtag ComicManAndy got fiber.
Hell yeah. Look at it. My God, it's faster than ever. We're all screwed now, but oh man. Let me get the Drew. Drew, how you doing tonight?
Oh man, I had 2 days off in a row and I just got back to work, so I've been really enjoying them. Work again tomorrow, so man, this is like the capper on my weekend. Very happy to be here for Modern Men.
Awesome. And for Kingdom Come, we had to bring on someone truly special. So when I remembered that Captain Marvel was a huge part of this book, I had to call upon the great Legend to join us tonight. So Legend, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. And like they say, with 3 magic words, the great Legend just appears when you need him. Awesome, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk Kingdom Come tonight.
Awesome. So before we get started, let's get into this chat here. Oh, man. First, in the nick of time, right before Chris Barrett, my first subscriber ever, Fish Tropic. Fish, how you doing, man? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. He was still here early, though. Chris Barrett, man, the king of bad news or space or whatever he's the king of this week. Always nice to see Chris Barrett in the chat. We got Scott Evans. How you doing, man? Nice to see you in the chat, Scott. We got Ricky Markstadt. What's going on, Ricky? He was here actually, technically, I think Ricky was first. I was just viewing the video to see, make sure Andy put it up and stuff. And Ricky posted it 2:45 today. So technically, Ricky, you're first, buddy. Congratulations. We have live with you, 2 YouTubers. What's going on, Sharon? How you doing? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. Chris Barrett says hashtag digital. It's like he was listening to us before we even started the thing tonight. Ricky asked, do you guys know that we are in level 6 of DruManchu?
I don't subscribe to that Kevin Hart nonsense.
That explains a lot. We got ComicManAndy, of course, participating in chat. Drew, we got Gomer in the chat.
Gomer, what's going on, man?
And then, of course, this guy, he is on a trivia tear right now. Chaos of Comics. What's going on, man? He loves some fresh freaking prints. But all I know is I'm just happy I don't have to talk about Thanos this week. I'll be perfectly honest. So before we get into the discussion, Drew, what was your final take on the Thanos saga that were episodes 33 and 34 of Modern Men?
Thanos is awesome. Thanos rules. Thanos wins. Don't put him on that poll anymore, Seawood. You know why? Because Thanos wins.
I know Thanos lost this week because he's not in Kingdom Come. And,
it would have been better if he was.
Yeah, probably not. Andy, what say you, Andy? Did you get a chance to check out any more Thanos? Are you as tired as I am of Thanos?
I'm doing pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and just like Drew said, Thanos wins, man. But I was looking forward to a break from some Marvel books.
Yeah. Legend, what about you? What'd you think of all these Marvels in the last 2 weeks?
Dude, Marvel is just a hot-ass commodity, and they do have some of the best books in the business. I'm not as well-read as Drew or Andy on the Marvel scene, not since the 90s, but, man, they got some great movies, if you know what I mean.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to start off tonight by, we're going to spend the whole show just talking about Kingdom Come. I think the storyline justifies it, It meant a lot to me as a kid. It's when I recently discovered comic shops. One of the first books I saw when I went into a comic shop originally was this preview for Kingdom Come, and I I had to be 12 years old probably at the time. My 12-year-old brain was blown away by viewing this preview. I was like, why is Green Lantern old, and why is the Flash like being electrocuted and all that stuff? And you just kind of take a look at the inside and get a chance to see some of the cool Alex Ross art. I had like minimal idea of who Alex Ross was at the time. I was kind of semi-familiar with his work on Marvels, but I wasn't collecting Marvel in 1994, so that all just went way over my head, basically. So when I first viewed this for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I need this now. Like, this is like the craziest thing I had ever seen, especially, you know, once you get to like the next covers and stuff. Like as a kid, I just stared at these covers for probably hours, just trying to identify like all the cool characters that were on, you know, the wraparound covers and stuff, front and back. And just like, I was always trying to find my boy Connor Kent, Superboy, even though he wasn't called Connor Kent yet. That's what I became to know him. Of course, there's the back cover too, which matches the preview, but I would just stare at this all day long, like trying to figure out, like, it's like, is that Dick Grayson Robin, or is it Tim Drake? It turns out it's Dick Grayson, of course. And, you know, just trying to do the same thing for every one of these that was released before I even open it. But, of course, I like this series so much, I had to get all 4 of them double signed on the inside in that nice gunmetal gray right there. So
I've never met Alex Ross.
He's a hard guy to meet, basically. he's nice, though. He's a cool guy, honestly. Like, when I got a chance to talk to Alex Ross for, you know, the 30 seconds you're allowed to talk to him, basically, I was getting my it was the Superman one-shot he did when he did the Justice Society. And I was telling him, you know, it was a cool book. I thought it was really cool because he actually got a chance to write that book. He's known for his art and not his writing. And he thought it was really awesome to finally get a chance to do both roles, and he wants to do it again at some point. But obviously, it'd probably take a whole bunch of money to get his art, let alone his writing as well. So, he really dug the fact that I enjoyed his writing and his art too. So, a lot of fun talking to him, and I could just tell that, you know, this particular version of Superman is very special and near and dear to his heart. So
he did a lot of writing on the new Marvel stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
Right now at Marvel. So he's getting the opportunity to flex those muscles, which is cool.
Yeah. And then, like, I think at the time, of course, he was coming hot off of the heels of Marvels. That was 94. This was the next big thing for him. I believe Mark Waid, he was just finishing up that big, huge Flash run they had with Mike Wieringo. A phenomenal Flash run where they really start to invent what the Speed Force is. They introduced Impulse, and, of course, he worked on that book, too, of course, with Humberto Ramos. And then I think he was getting ready for the Superman Electric Boogaloo Fun, where they electrified Superman's powers in 97. So I think that was like on the cusp of his projects at the time as well. So, Legend, what are some of your first memories of hearing about Kingdom Come and finally getting a chance to read it?
Okay, well, in the library I work at, I saw Kingdom Come. We had it on a new display shelf when we got it. Of course, it wasn't back when it came out. It was about a year ago I saw it. And I passed up on it, didn't think too much of it. But then I watched ComicManAndy do a review about the book and told me it was an Elseworlds book. And I was like intrigued by it. Of course, I love Alex Ross's artwork. I love how he draws his characters. And they almost look like just painted freaking Holy Grail art pieces. So, you know, I finally, after listening to ComicManAndy talk about it, I finally took the plunge. I read it last year. It kicked ass. And then I read it again today and listened to this cool audio. It was like an audio radio, kind of like an old school radio audio type story that Howler Mouse told me about. I went ahead and dropped the link in the chat if y'all want to listen to the audio dramatization of Kingdom Come. As you read along with the book, it's really freaking cool, and it really adds a little bit to it. And it's just a great story. I mean, you know, it's not my favorite story, but it's probably up in the top 10 for sure.
Awesome. So I know these two gentlemen over here have not read Kingdom Come up until I told them to this week, basically. So Drew, I'll start with you. Do you have any prior inklings of the hype behind Kingdom Come when you first started collecting comics, or is it kind of collecting, you just discovered it later on?
I knew the basis of Kingdom Come. I had seen it on enough lists on, you know, YouTube channels, or like, oh, these are the top stories you should read. And then, Superman comes back after being retired, and they kind of give you the gist of what it's about. So I kind of knew what to expect going into it. And I'm familiar with the artwork of Kingdom Come. I'm familiar with the covers. It just wasn't something that I ever sat down and read. So I was excited to actually get a chance to put something that is known as a seminal work into my brain space finally after all these years.
Awesome. And then Andy, I know this is all new to you basically. So how excited were you to get a chance to finally read this one? Were you hyped for it all? Or were you just like, oh God, Carson's making us read another DC book with Red Tornado in it?
I was actually pretty excited when you talked about doing this one because I had never read it. I've seen it on the shelf before. Remind me, when did this come out originally?
1996.
Okay, because I have memories, very
So the year you were born?
Seen it on the shelf in shops and always looking at it. Well, this is a DC book. I would pass it up, but I would never grab it and read it. And when you talked about doing this, I was like, yeah, I really want to check this out. And I'm glad we did.
Nice.
Ricky Markstad in the chat says, I have not read Kingdom Come. Well, after we're done here, check out that audio link that Legend dropped in the chat. We'll make sure that gets in the description as well. So anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to read the book or doesn't have a way to get a hold of it can enjoy the story. So be sure to check that out that way.
Nice. Before we get hopping into issue 1 here, I'm gonna do one more shout out to the chat because we got a lot of people hopping in tonight. We got Stay Puft 1983, man. This guy, it looks like he had a heck of a time this weekend hanging out with some fellow YouTubers and some Instagrammers. Definitely run over to his IG and his YouTube actually and check out the awesome weekend that he had. He had a lot of cool stuff.
Made me really upset that we didn't get to make MegaCon happen this year.
Absolutely.
I was really looking forward to hanging out with all those Florida cats. And unfortunately, we have to wait till next time.
Chaos and Comics says, man, I really wish I worked in a library.
Yep.
We got Fire Davis. What's going on, Fire Davis? How you doing? We got Bubs Comics in the chat. He says, hey, Andy, pinkies in. So, trying to get that pop out of Andy. But I had fun watching the No Faces chat earlier. It's a great show, 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday. Absolutely. I got a chance to be on about a month or two back. Absolutely love that show. One of my favorites in the community for sure. Let's see. We still got Life with 2 YouTubers. Chris Barrett hanging out in the chat. Hopefully I did not miss anybody else. Now everyone's on the pinkies and bandwagon. Sorry, Andy. But you know what? We're going to get into Kingdom Come here. So we're going to start with issue 1. And right out the gate, you can kind of see the biblical influence I had here where you have, this pastor, Norman McKay, is almost like your main character. And he's giving a sermon. And I forgot. We still got one of the original members of the JSA, the Sandman, is basically on his deathbed. And he's kind of reading him his last rites, and that's how you kind of get to know Norman McKay. So, Legend, what did you kind of think about seeing these like godlike DC characters integrated in with this idea that came directly from the Bible?
Man, it was really good. Of course, Kingdom Come, for y'all that don't know, like, what does it mean in the Bible? It means it's an alternate way of expression to talk about the second life, or what happens when you die, the next world. So when you're watching a bad guy movie and someone says, I'm gonna blow your ass to Kingdom Come, then they're gonna be going into that next life. And of course, with old Sandman here on his deathbed, it's William, I think, for the Sandman. I can't remember his last name. I didn't do a lot of JSA Golden Age reading, but
Wesley Dodds.
Me and William, though, or Wesley, was it Wesley?
Wesley Dodds.
Yeah, Wesley Dodds. But even in the end, right when he was, dying and everything like that, you could see what in his visions, the people that were trying to settle him down and give him that tranquilizer, it was like he was looking at himself. The gas masks were on these people. Of course, the old Sandman, the reason they called him the Sandman, he wore a gas mask, but he would knock out his villains with sleeping gas, so that's why they called him the Sandman. And of course, you had old McKay there reading him, his kind of last rites, trying to calm him down before he himself goes to Kingdom Come. So I thought it was just like a kick-ass opening, and throughout all 4 issues, Kingdom Come is going to be kind of a big analogy for the whole saga.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Drew, did you enjoy the biblical aspect of this, or did you have trouble getting through it?
I didn't have trouble getting through it at all. I was raised Catholic, so I'm very familiar with the Book of Revelation, with the end times, with you know, basically the war between the angels and the demons that causes the end of the world and the beginning of just one kingdom, whether it be the dark or the light. That's the end of the world, and I did not enjoy the trappings of it throughout this entire story, and I'll get into that more as we read through it. But yeah, it's very ham-fisted, in my opinion. It's not, it's a man on his deathbed, who is basically saying, "Oh no, the Book of Revelations is going to come," and then like, his buddy, who's a pastor, is like, "Yeah, whatever." And then he dies.
Yep.
Gone too soon,
What about you, Andy? What did you think about the intro to this story here?
I enjoyed it. It's the Sandman sitting there having visions of the end of times, and then his passing somehow transfers that to our main character. And then you see our main character in that first book go from a put together priest doing a sermon to you'll get into books 2 and 3, and he becomes a little more disheveled and kind of like stressed out, and I liked it. Like Drew, I grew up Catholic, so I'm quite aware of the good book and a lot of its portions, and I don't know that I agree with Drew on the ham-fistedness of it, because I really didn't roll through this book feeling like it kept coming back at me. Like, it didn't feel like a main focal point, but they did a really good job laying that out and then rolling into book 2, in my opinion.
Nice. Yeah, so of course when McKay starts to get these visions of a man in like a red fire and smoke, basically, who shows up to one of his sermons but the Spectre. So I know, Legend, you love you some Spectre.
Man, Spectre is freaking awesome. He's he's an angel of a different color, if you know what I mean, man. In the green, man, it's like he's the damn like guy that's going to come after you. Was it maybe Angel of Death or Angel of Destruction? Old Jim Corrigan, he always made those people pay, if you know what I mean, those bad guys. So he's out for vengeance, I guess.
Yeah, like once you start to get to know the Spectre in this book, basically, because I'll be honest, like I didn't really, especially like when this came out, I didn't know too much about the Spectre at all. I kind of saw him, in that crisis issue he was in, basically, and then like they had like this issue 1 that came out around 0 hour time. It was like the glow in the dark cover or whatever on that first issue. And then the 0 issue, of course, like literally right after that. Thank you guys for that, DC. I'd love random 0 issues planted everywhere. But anyway, so the Spectre basically recruits Norman McKay, and he's more or less just showing him the DC universe, basically, and where it's at, and thus showing the reader where the DC universe is at in the world of Kingdom Come. And it's kind of a grim place in some ways. It's became where the metahumans don't really have like someone leading them because of an incident that happened between Magog and Superman and Metropolis involving the Joker as well, where the Joker gasses the Daily Planet. He kills, I think, 29 men and 1 woman. And I think we all know who that 1 woman is. Of course, Lois Lane. So Superman, fortunately or unfortunately for the Joker, wasn't even the first one to attack. It was Magog. So Magog immediately kills the Joker for gassing the Daily Planet, and the people of Metropolis actually side toward Magog and cast away Superman, basically. So instead of, fighting for truth, justice in the American way, Superman kind of flies back to the Fortress of Solitude and builds his own farm there. So what did you guys think about the way Superman was initially portrayed here when Wonder Woman was looking for him? Andy, I'll start with you.
The ponytail killed me. It's almost like the biblical. I'm starting to pick up a little bit more now looking through this. Like Drew was talking about, like the overalls, the ponytail, the carpenter look, right, on the farm. I totally blanked on your question already, but I still can't get over the fact that it was basically a holodeck.
Yeah. You got to remember, Star Trek Next Generation was a pretty hot syndicated program at this time, too.
Yeah.
So, Legend, what did you think about Superman here when we first get a chance to see him?
The really cool thing about it was when Spectre was showing the old man from a distance, and he was kind of talking about, he came, from a different Earth, or, he came to this Earth from another world and all that kind of stuff. And you hadn't seen him in about 10 years from his known name. And then, of course, God, what is this guy's Dave McKay?
Who?
What's the old man's name?
Oh, Norman McKay. Yeah.
Norman McKay. Norman's like Superman. And then he finds out that it is Superman. And then he gets to watch how Diana and old Cal, talk and everything like that. And, she's filling him in on the bad stuff, that happened in Kansas or whatnot with, of course, Captain Atom and Parasite, So, I mean, I really liked it. The ponytail, it was cool to me. Man, it reminded me of Duncan MacLeod or something. If we, Carson, your favorite Superman, at one time had that good looking mullet on him,
yep.
The Jurgens mullet. So I thought it was pretty damn cool. And like Andy said, that carpenter symbolism there, so of course Jesus was a carpenter and everything. So you got that little biblical reflection in this thing. It was really cool. And I loved the fortress, man. He had all those TV screens on and everything. That looked pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I like that part. I also like the part where Wonder Woman just like punches the holodeck wall. Ooh. And you can see that way. You can see it's a holodeck. He's like, "You're startling the animals." You see the horse in the background's going all crazy. He wants the sun out. So, actually, I was going to save this question for Drew. Drew, what did you think about Magog?
Well, you actually don't get that Magog reveal until almost the end of issue 2. So I one of the things I actually like about this story is kind of the setup of the mystery of, what is it that made Superman retreat? They don't tell you outright what it is. But before the Spectre even gets there, Norman's talking about the world that he lives in, where without Superman, all the heroes have no direction. They've killed all the villains, and they're at a point now where they're just kind of butting heads with each other over territory. And my dog will not shut the fuck up, so I'm going to let him out. Little asshole. So that's going to happen. And he's talking about how he's kind of lost his faith in these heroes. At the same time, though, while he's giving his sermon, he's lost his faith in God. He's lost his way. He doesn't believe that there's any hope, and he can't preach to these people that there's hope. And that's when the Spectre arrives and grabs him. That's going to lead to what I don't like about this book later on in a big way. There's plenty that I do like, so let's. I'm not going to shit all over it, but that setup right there irks me later on in the way it plays out. But I like the fact that the Spectre's kind of taking him on this journey and showing him piece by piece, where the hope is and why it's not there, why it's not in his face the way it should be. Like Diana and Clark, who I guess refuses to be known as Clark. He says something about his parents are dead and she's dead. So there's nothing,
didn't he?
There's nothing left to tie him to the Earthlings.
Yeah.
He's kind of renounced his humanity. I really dig all of the Easter eggs that are depicted in the Fortress of Solitude, Calyx robots. It's just, there's some really cool stuff in there, and I think that I like Superman with the ponytail and the beard, and kind of just like he's let himself get to that point. He had the mullet and then let it go until he could just pull it all back, and now he's just doing his farmer thing. The fact that like he goes and he looks at the world afterwards, and what's happened to it. you know he's coming back. Of course, you see him on the cover of the book. You know this book's about Superman. You know he's coming back. It's just seeing him see the world without him is kind of the way that he finally is like, okay, these are the Earthlings that I used to care about, and all of a sudden he feels that bond again to humanity just by viewing all of the shit show that has erupted from him just, pouting and running away.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you kind of get to see some of that hope, or Spectre's taking Norman McKay through and kind of reintroducing you to apparently Alan Scott Green Lantern. From what I've read, I've always kind of heard that rumor, and that's the one I guess we're sticking with here, that is in fact Alan Scott and not Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern. Wally West Flash, which makes sense to me because that's the one that was alive at the time in DC, and Mark Waid really made popular as the Flash. And among Hawkman, of course, which he's hanging out in Twin Peaks or wherever fighting tree people, I guess, which I've never been a big Hawkman fan, so I wasn't too disappointed we didn't see a lot of him. And then, I think there's a few others, but I know, Drew, you were kind of talking off air a little bit about, some of these, as you put it, tertiary characters you wanted to see a little bit more of. So when we're getting reintroduced to a lot of these Justice Leaguers, is there one you were particularly disappointed we didn't get a chance to know a little bit more?
Not so much as I just feel like there are so many characters in this book that Alex Ross takes the time to very, very detailingly design based on who they are, who their parents were, what the lineage of them is. And you get personality out of absolutely zero of them. You get character out of absolutely zero of them. You get lines out of maybe 3 or 4 of them. This book is just loaded with so many visual clues and such a wonderful world painted by Alex Ross that is just underexplored, in my opinion, in a real big way. You get these Americommandos or whatever that that come in.
They reminded me of something
in the second issue, and it's just like
America great again.
Yeah, but there's just they're just generic, and then and then the good guys show up and they're gone. There's those kind of things aren't actually explored in this book, which is this is the kind of story that if it were a current Marvel event, I would live for that anthology series that comes out along with it, that fleshes out a couple little characters here and there and gives everybody kind of a story.
And I think that's a part of the Elseworlds kind of storyline where, since it is an Elseworlds title, I mean, you're only going to get the meat and potatoes. Whereas if this Elseworlds DC universe was the current DCU, say New 52 was or whatnot, then we would find out all those other characters probably in their own comics. But since it's Elseworlds and, that's what we got though, But
yeah, I just think you could have made it 6 issues and maybe folded 2 or 3 characters in to the actual narrative of the story in a way that kind of like the only new character that gets any chance to shine is Norman, and God, he does nothing the entire time except for just be like, but what? But why? But what? But why? And
poor Norman.
And it is what it is. You get the great reveal at the end of the first issue of Superman comes back, and then he looks up and you see him as a hero, right? But then Norman sees him there in that middle picture, and maybe he's the force that is the coming of the end of the world. We never really get a clear picture of what Norman's visions mean. In my opinion, I think it just all kind of comes together. But I like the way that Batman was depicted in this. He's got sentinels basically running them. It's it's a utopia because everybody is a police state, So he's got these giant robots that come out and attack the citizens if they they fart in public, which is like later on when you get that Bruce and Clark back and forth, you kind of see the difference between the two of them, and that leads to probably, well, that's issue 2, right?
Yeah,
Batman really isn't coming until issue 2. Yeah.
Well, when he comes in and then afterwards, Norman's like, I thought they were friends. He's like, they kind of, never were friends. It's like you don't have to like people you work with or something like that. Great minds do not always think alike, is what the Spectre said.
Never click on "want to be friends." If someone gives you a comment that says "want to be friends," never click on it because your YouTube account will be hacked. But that's a truth video for another time.
Andy, what about you? Was there a character so that you wish was a little bit more explored that kind of caught your fancy?
All of them. I'm with Drew on this. I mean, he makes a lot of excellent points where the story, as well as it's written, as a first-time reader and a novice to DC, a lot of this stuff is neither here nor there for me. So I'm kind of blowing right through it. Like, I've got no idea who this is. I got no idea who this is. I didn't even know that was the Spectre until you guys mentioned it at the beginning. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So I'm really with Drew on that. Hawkman gets like a whole 2-page big introduction in the first book, and then you don't really see him again at all, which is kind of surprising. I mean, why spend that time on that character in that position that early in the book, and then there's like nothing the rest of the book? Which is odd that as much as I really enjoyed reading this, but the more we talk about it, the more we pick away at it, it's like, oh God, yeah, that's kind of an issue or a challenge with the book,
Yeah. What about you, Legend?
I'm curious again. Let me just hop on his Hawkman comment. This is kind of a weird amalgam of JLA, JSA kind of team here that you don't, because it's an Alice world, you don't really get a clear picture of who everybody is. Like, yeah, as far as it being Alan Scott, Green Lantern, like, which Hawkman is it? Like, is it, the Thanagarian Hawkman? Is it like time traveling, Egyptian Hawkman? Like, what kind of Hawkman situation are we dealing with? It's not even really explained. And I kind of think Alex Ross is like, I want to paint Hawkman. And Mark Waid's like, sure, let's do it.
No, I think that's exactly what happened. That's my guess too.
Yeah, I think with Hawkman, and Carson, you said, yeah, thank God with Joe Kubert, man, he would probably think different. He loves this Hawkman.
Yeah.
But it was real quick, like Drew and Andy both said. I mean, you get the Flash, you get Hawkman, you get Green Lantern, and then McKay says, well, wasn't there someone in Gotham? I was like, dude, just say Batman. What the hell, McKay? The characters. But yeah, I mean, it would have been cool if they could have done a damn 12-issue freaking maxi series and go back and like find out whose children of these characters are who and everything like that to flesh out the story and everything. But man, I don't know. I just me, Carson, it had my main man in it, so I'm
yep. See, my one answer, and it goes into I had some Easter eggs I was going to show tonight. My first Easter egg was my one guy. I was looking for him the whole time, and he only appears once. And he's about this big in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Planet Krypton. Oh no, you're talking about
Superboy, my boy, flying into the future, and you never see him again. With Supergirl and the rest of the Legion of superheroes. And I had to like zoom in really close on the panel to capture this shot of him. He's even got a little bit of long hair going, it looks like. But yeah, of course, this is the only time. I don't even mention him. He's just in the background. So Chad didn't even know he was in it. And I'm like, yeah, Chad, you didn't see Superboy in Kingdom Come? He's like, he's not in there. And I'm like, yep, there he is. So.
I thought you were talking about Booster Gold when that lady.
Oh yeah, they mentioned Booster Gold. Like, where's the restaurant? The Booster? He's like running a Planet Hollywood base.
Yeah, he was working in the back, flipping them pancakes, I guess.
It's like when Karen's like, "Can I speak to your manager?" Here comes Booster Gold coming out. But yeah, at the same time, to your guys' point, like, I would love to have like an ongoing series. I feel like if this is something they made today, like look at the popularity of Batman White Knight. It was like an 8-issue series, and now they're debating just making a whole line of comics based on that. Kingdom Come, I think, is a very big parallel to that. Pretty much, you have an Elseworld story that's a larger-than-life hit, basically, because the writing's on point, the art is phenomenal. So they decided to make a big universe out of it, which I think, if I remember right, DC tried at the time, right after the success of this. Unfortunately, they didn't have Alex Ross's name on any of it, though, so people immediately tuned out. So who knows what could have came of it if Alex Ross was on the same page as Mark Waid and the rest of DC at the time. They could have potentially built a whole universe here. But at the same time, I'm extremely thankful that Mark Waid kind of kept it reined in, kept the story about Superman and the rest of the Trinity, basically, and the Norman McKay Spectre story, and actually really dug that. I just remember reading this as a kid. Like I remember, like I was saying when we started, like I was looking at this cover trying to identify all the characters, and I had a blast, like just coming up with these scenarios in my head, reading the wizards and stuff, hearing the ideas behind these characters, and getting any Kingdom Come stuff I could, trying to figure out like what happened to some of my favorite characters, like who is Red Robin? Why is Steel dressed up more like Batman now than Superman? And getting a chance to like go read extra stuff later down the line, I really enjoyed that, actually. So while I would have liked to see a lot of these characters re-explored, or especially like probably the Flash would be my other answers, because he was so intriguing to me. The fact that he could guard his city like in a blink of an eye, basically, where the rest of the world's struggling. I would love to see a Mark Waid Kingdom Come Flash series about how he got the Speed Force so entwined into himself that you can barely see him. Yeah. So I guess, we can go ahead and actually, before we get into issue 2, we'll go to the chat one more time. We got Rob Potsy Podcheck is in the chat, guys. What's going on, Potsy? He says, you nailed it there. He told Waid he wanted to paint and Waid filled it. So basically they're talking about he wanted to paint Hawkman into the story. And that's the only reason why he was there. So there you go. Gore Vidal, what's going on, man? Nice to see you in the chat tonight. He says, Norman McKay, Ross modeled after his father. That's right. He did model him after his father. Is humanity's witness to the biblical-like story. Yeah, so he has been the one charged to bear witness to all of the end of the world, basically. So once again, going back to the biblical references. We got JD. What's going on, JD? He loves him some Our Man, of course. Nice to see JD in the chat. He's got Golden Guys tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, so check it out right here on the Comic Core. And, of course, we got Fire Davis. He says 105 characters, according to the back of the trade paperback, and only like 20 talk. Still, each character looked cool, so that works for him. Mm-hmm. All right, so going into issue 2, Superman is putting together his Justice League. And, of course, he goes to Batman pretty much first. That's pretty much Drew covered that, where they have their verbal spats like they normally would, and Norman McKay is like, I thought these guys were supposed to be friends. Nope. Just like Veronica Mars and the rest of their school, they used to be friends. But anyway, Wonder Woman is the more aggressive of the three here. She's just ready to go to war with whoever, whenever. And yeah, so actually I think this is where we get another one of my favorite Easter eggs, where Superman gets to go to a bar. Yeah. And it's not like that scene in Superman 3. Unfortunately, I don't have that GIF loaded up. The only one I have is this.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, I didn't have the Superman drinking and then throwing, a glass at himself. But some of my favorite Easter eggs, this one's for Chad. Fat Lobo. He's just like, hey, man, we got to see Fat Lobo tonight. So, yeah, it's Fat Lobo smoking some cigars. But I completely forgot above his shoulder was our pal Rorschach. Legend, did you catch Rorschach when you were reading this?
I caught Rorschach also in issue 1, where McKay is walking, and you're kind of getting the sense of how the world is now with all these superheroes, not really giving a crap about humanity. They're breaking down buildings and stuff, and they could care less. But on the wall, you can see who's watching the Watchmen kind of spray painted out,
Yeah.
And no one's watching because all those heroes are running wild, man. They don't even care about the humans. But the Easter eggs in the story were great. I was also going to show y'all, you got Batman and his new Outsiders team here with Oliver Queen and Selena Kyle and Ted Cord there. they're all kind of chilling. It's a little bit bright on my screen. Sorry about that. But I thought that was really cool there. Actually, that was old. That's old Diana, the Lance, the Black Canary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do get some Selena Kyle with Luthor's people, and Edward Nygma, go figure.
Oh yeah, I love that part where they're introducing like the League of Villains basically, and he's identifying them all, and it's just Riddler sitting there like he's Cisco freaking Ramon, like giving them all their nicknames again.
Yeah,
and then
he interrupted that Lex Luthor table more than Drew does the Comic Core round table. Sorry, Drew. I had to say
the most entertaining part of that scene too. So,
amen, baby.
Oh, it's like Luthor, the Riddler. He's just like, just mind you, Riddler, you're only here because of your company you keep, and it's like because he's basically married to Catwoman at that point.
Like, be quiet, Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie, simmer down. You're making Lex Luthor mad. And then you get like the heir to Ra's al Ghul as well in that scene, and a couple other characters, of course. And that's where you kind of find out what's going on with Billy Batson, man. So Legend, I really want to get your opinion on Billy Batson and of course Captain Marvel, Power Shazam. What did you think of Billy Batson?
Well, the first time, with him, I thought he was, in the Shazam character, being all adult, and you don't think about it, because you're so used to seeing the little kid, you don't think about, well, this kid could have, aged, and that's what he looks like. I didn't think about that. I thought he was already Shazam here and not Billy. But god dang, the way, of course, CC Beck envisioned, Captain Marvel to be like Fred McMurray, aka My Three Sons, all those classic old shows he was in old movies. But man, damn, don't he look just like old Fred McMurray there? I mean, it was really cool. But then the first time I read this, it's like, what the F, man? Why are you on Lex's, evil group of team, and that you don't know until later that he has some of Dr. Savannah and some of those old school Mr. Mind earthworms in his ear, those little worms that are controlling his mind. Well, Lex in his mind control, man, he knows how to do it,
Yeah, he watched Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and took notes, luckily.
Yeah, he did.
Poor old Chekhov. He did. He had a rough time in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andy, what do you think of Captain Marvel?
This is actually my first exposure to Captain Marvel.
Ooh.
Whoa! Andy, please.
Look at Legends.
You got to read some Marvel there.
So I didn't notice it at first in the first few scenes in the boardroom with Lex Luthor, who, shall I say, looks strikingly similar to the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I didn't realize that was Billy, that was Captain Marvel in the red coat. That was Billy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Serving the drinks and serving up Lex Luthor. I'm like, wow, okay. It didn't catch that at first. It wasn't until later on in book 3, book 4.
He's got this connection here, Andy. He says he cannot. In fact, I've got the most marvelous anti-Superman plan, and of course, marvelous. You get the little Marvel. So that kind of was my little like, you bastard. That's when I found out he had Billy under his thumb, and I was like, you bastard.
I read that like 3 times. I was like, what are they getting at? It wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my one regret down the line, I guess, like spoilers, even though we're spoiling everything, that it wasn't Superman who took down Lex inevitably. It's Batman. So I would have liked it, because there's that whole scene you just showed where Billy's shaving Lex, and they even mentioned Superman. He's like, he will not touch me. And like, you think there's going to be a payoff where like Superman finally gets his hands on Lex and, hands him justice with just 2 fists, basically. But that doesn't happen at all. So it's Batman. So which they have kind of a funny thing later, but
is Lex Luthor always that overly dramatic about Superman in all of the DC stories?
Yeah, maybe only when he's played by Gene Hackman.
That bar, the next panel after that, you get that bar scene with, of course, Lobo. You have the Fat Lobo we could see again.
I know.
So funny.
Brett Hess, I think, was excited for Fat Lobo.
One of the other things I liked on there was it had a picture of like Katana, Human Bomb, and like the Creeper, and they're all sitting there. It was really good too. And Human Bomb is like doing something where he just like causes his drink to explode.
Oh yeah, like the pull my
Creeper
gag.
Creeper was so old school. I thought that was pretty cool. I love those, where you get to see like other DC Universe characters. You know, you just have to do the Where's Waldo, but it's really cool. Oh, yeah.
Rubberman or what's his name?
Plastic
Man. That's it.
Eel O'Brien, yeah.
You see Solomon Grundy in a few panels there, too. He looks pretty awesome.
Well, if you dig really deep, there's a couple of Vulcans in here as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
Issue 2 is definitely my favorite issue of this whole story. You get the nobodies in the beginning. The Justice League comes in, just takes them out. You get, Superman coming to Batman and being like, please, Batman, we need you. And Batman being like, fuck off, alien, I got humans. And then you get the, the look at, Superman's recruiting more, the team's growing. Then you get the bad guys come together. Like, how are we going to deal with Superman and all his alien fucks who are all coming together? Let's get a plan there. You get the Shazam reveal with Billy Batson's kind of under heel, which is cool. You get Superman coming into like the villain bar and being like, look, I know you're villains, but you're either with us or you're not. Here's your chance to be with us. And you get a few who are joining him there. One happens to be the daughter of Starfire and Dick Grayson, whose one line is, she says, are you in? And then she says, I thought my dad was full of crap for being drafted by that guy, but now. And the only reason I know who she is because there's like a giant index in the back of this copy of this book. But there's like so many great paintings throughout. You get to see them around the round table of the Green Lantern's fortress that's out in space. And then again, they don't tell you which Green Lantern freaking ever. The coolest part, though, I thought there's really two cool parts, and that's Superman going to two different kings. One, the king of Atlantis, and Aquaman being like, I don't have time for your surface dweller nonsense. Get out of here. And then he goes to Apocalypse and meets Orion, who took over for Darkseid. And he's like, why haven't you turned this place around? And he's like, bro, do you have any idea how hard it is to turn this place around? And even if I did turn this place around, how many people would fight to turn it back to the way it was? It's like, dude, you don't know anything about anything. And Superman's like, you're right, I can't learn anything from you. And Orion's like, whatever, farm boy, get out of here. Yeah. So it's like the people who have like actual responsibilities look at Superman like he's just a putz. And I dig that because the whole deal with the Magog thing, which is also explained in here, is like Magog kills Joker because Superman wouldn't. They put him on trial. Superman testifies against him, but the people are like, no, Joker's dead. This is a good thing. And then Superman's like, well, I'm not playing anymore.
Yeah, it says in a byline in that paper, they put Superman in contempt of court for whining so much. I thought that was pretty funny.
Right. Metropolis Marvel. Random Metropolitans tell us best who defends their future. 77% Magog, 18% Superman. Like just you're out of touch, old boy. Go do your thing, right? It's like if he just would have, been like, okay, folks, let's see how this plays out and stuck around, the Kansas thing would have never happened. The Kansas thing is on him 110% for being a whiny baby who ran away. And then by the end of this, they're constructing their new gulag on this Kansas site, which is like, oh yeah, that's gonna end up working out well, Superman, you big dummy. And then you get Bruce Wayne shaking hands with Luthor, which is kind of a misdirection, but a really cool scene that I did really like at the end of this book.
Yeah.
So I thought that issue 2 definitely shines as the best of the 4 issues. If you had to read one, that's the one I would read.
Nice. Yeah. So before we kind of hit our halfway point here, did you guys catch the Easter eggs, or I guess these were giant Easter eggs basically, where the Gulag was like the Legion of Doom fortress, and the UN building was the Hall of Justice, all from the Super Friends. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to post it. They got it somewhere where Marvin from Wendy and Marvin fame was just like belligerently drunk at the bar, and he had like this like long trash beard and a leather jacket. I think that was my other favorite one besides Fat Lobo. But yeah, that oh man, I should have posted it. I completely forgot about it. But before we go into issue 3, it's time to plug the Hero Initiative. So I'm going to do the share screen thing here and show you guys some opportunities you have at meeting some of your favorite creators. So if you go to heroinitiative.org/merchandise, a lot of these are sold out. There was a Lee Weeks one for opportunity to get a Lee Weeks sketch.
Wow.
And a 45-minute chat. It's sold out already. So yeah,
So-
you missed out on that one. Yes.
Those were posted this afternoon.
Yes, absolutely they were.
I saw them post that on the Facebook to say, hey, it's been updated. Everybody check this out. And you're telling me that stuff is already selling out?
It's already selling out. I think the Lee Weeks opportunity was a $400 donation to the Hero Initiative.
Wow.
And people hopped all over it. It's already taken down because it sold out. So right now you have a $50 donation opportunity with comic writer Jeff King. That's still up. I think that was up last week, if I remember right. Legend, I know you'll love this one. A sketch and a chat with artist Joe Staton.
Ooh.
Damn, dude. You could get so many. You could get all of your, any favorite Dick Tracy character. That was what I would do. Probably a Dick Tracy villain, maybe like Flat Top, Prune Face, maybe Pouch Man or something. Or you can go Green Lanterns. I mean, me and Carson know that is the man that created Kilowog, one of the coolest Green Lanterns ever, man. Just waiting to call you some poozers. So make sure you go see some Joe Staton, man. That's a good one right there.
Absolutely. And here's another one with Gabriel Hardman, the guy who's recently been killing it on the Green Lantern Earth 1 stuff. He's actually getting ready to release Volume 2. Damn. I think it comes out in 3 months. So I highly recommend that Green Lantern Earth 1 stuff. Mm-hmm. The first issue was probably the best thing they've done since the Batman one those years back. So I thought they'd given up on the Earth 1 stuff, but apparently Volume 2 of the Green Lantern's coming out like soon. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. Then there's another opportunity with J.M. DeMatteis and then James Tynan. So 2 of the best writers in the game. You have a chance to get a chance to, wow, I can't talk anymore. I think glitching the Matrix or something, but yeah. Buy these up, talk to these guys, have a blast. There you go.
You guys got punchline questions? James Tynan can answer them for you.
Oh yeah, the new school punchline. Everyone wants to know all about her. Is she trans or what is she? I don't know. Boy, girl, it doesn't matter because she's the book you need to buy. Or that's what say the speculators.
So they say.
We still got Chris Barrett in the chat. Aquaman's like, screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Luckily, he was already home and there on his turf, so they just escorted him away. But yeah, that was like the most Namor Aquaman moment I've ever seen, but I dug it.
Yeah.
He says, agree, Chris, like Christ, he makes the sacrifice we're talking about later in the book, issue 4.
There he is on the cover right there, too.
Let me show that. Oh, yeah, look at that. Awesome. I mean, yeah, like when I was a kid, man, I stared at those covers for hours.
They're so cool, man. It's awesome to see what our favorite DC heroes, our favorite DC villains are doing, in the future, as older people. I mean, are they still into the action? Do they still go out and beat some ass every now and then? You find out when you read some Kingdom Come,
All right, so getting into issue 3 here. Drew, you said you liked issue 2 much. What about issue 3, man? What were your overall thoughts on this one?
It's kind of a mess. It's all over the place, in my opinion. But that does kind of feed into the frenetic nature of the story at this point. Mm-hmm. The gulag is overflowing with villains at this point. They are revolting. They're hard to handle. They can't figure out what's going on, how they can keep them in control. You got Batman and Luthor and their situation there. You get finally the turn where Batman kind of reveals his reason for being there is kind of to regain control of Billy Batson, because he knows that's going to be a problem. But then Billy's off to bust a hole in the gulag and start the end of the world battle, which is what this is being seen as. I dig Deadman as a skeleton.
Yeah.
I like that depiction of him. As far as the meeting of the powers of the universe. There's nothing we can do. But it's just point, but in my opinion, to even bring them up. But they got to pay homage to just about every angle of the universe. So I don't really hold it against them for going, the what's his name, little Yoda, Green Lantern guy, and
Gambit, one of the best.
One of the best, you say.
Phantom Stranger.
Yeah,
and
Phantom Stranger.
Phantom Stranger's there, but he can't do anything. And Shazam is there, and like he can't do anything.
It's just like an Infinity Gauntlet when all like the huge characters literally get together. Like, man, Thanos has the gauntlet. He just killed all those Avengers fools. What should we do? And they all just get their asses.
Yeah, but Thanos
too.
with the gauntlet is like that's to elevate Thanos with the gauntlet. This is just basically breaks down to Superman versus Shazam with a bunch of nobodies duking it out behind him. Like that, it's not the same level. Right, yeah, but it's not the same level of like universal threat. It's the kind of, it's a big deal. I get it's a big deal, but that's not like, come on. But I mean, really, that there's one part of this that I really hate, and it comes at the very end. So I'll save my rant for that. But I kind of don't. I don't like the fact that they're like, oh, there's nothing we can do. And then the way that it's all resolved is the simplest bullshit ever. It's mind-numbingly dumb looking back on it that you get those big, powerful universal forces and Deadman, who's a ghost, like he could help. Like everybody could have done what happens in the end. Like any one of them could have done it. They just choose not to. But I think that as this builds, you get like you could tell that the tension's there. I kind of like the fact that it was in 3 or 4 where Wonder Woman comes up and kisses Superman.
It was in both.
Yeah,
the first one,
3.
they have 2 kisses. The first one is just like the most awkward looking kiss ever. But they even Norman McKay kind of says in the dialogue, it was like
it's a complete
cold marble rubbing on concrete or something like that. It was just there was no passion there.
Mm-hmm.
There's I think it might actually be in 4,
and then 4 like, oh, okay, they're making babies now.
Oh no, that's maybe it's 3. I can't remember where it falls, but like. She's like, well, then we'll go to war. And he's like, in war, people die. Yeah. And she kisses him. And it's a kiss completely devoid of passion. It's a final farewell.
Yeah, final farewell.
But that's got to be in 3 because that's when the Shazam. It's right after Shazam.
Yeah, so rewinding a bit, there was like that whole scene where Batman had to reveal his hand at that point because Luthor was basically getting ready to drop the Captain Marvel bomb on everything. That basically Luthor's main strategy is like, let's let all the metahumans get really pissed at each other, and then the humans will have no choice but to strike back. And that's exactly what happens. So the ultimate throwing gas on the fire is throwing a brainwashed Captain Marvel there. So Batman had no choice but for him and his outsiders leap into action. So Legend, what did you think about the action between Batman and Billy?
Dude, it was cool because Batman, he was trying to calm Billy down and he was just chasing after him. And like Billy was just freaking the F out, man. He didn't know what was going on. I thought that was really a good scene. And then, of course, when he finally says Shazam because he's just trying to get away and try to catch his bearings. He says Shazam, blows a big old lightning deal on the wall. And, he's going to go do Luthor's dirty business and blow up some holes in the damn gulag. Sounds like gulag.
I know. I was wondering how long that'd take.
Very freaking awesome, dude.
So when they decide they're going to go to war, that's one of my favorite things about this book is like Superman launches himself right out of the Green Lantern station, right at the Earth, through the Earth, and then comes up through the Earth in the Batcave. And he's just like not messing around. And him and Bruce had their little argument. And he's like, what did you expect me to do? What do you want me to do against Captain Marvel? And then he turns around and he's gone. And he's like, oh, so that's what that feels like. But
Yeah.
That was kind of a cool character moment for Bruce.
I guess Christopher Nolan read that issue.
Right. And I really dig that Superman's just like, I gotta go get Batman. And he's just like, fastest way right through the earth. And then it's going to pop up underneath.
Well, yeah, he
pretty
kind of finds out that the world's coming to an end where
that's one of my favorites too, where Bruce punches Billy right there, and then that's when everyone else Bruce finds out he was Billy like the whole time. I thought that was pretty damn cool right there.
He's got one of those dark stars with him too.
Yeah,
you like the dark stars.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the other crazy thing that happens is, you kind of get to see some of the heroes, mainly background stuff like we've talked about, not a lot of dialogue, but you kind of see the new Teen Titans hanging out on the satellite, all the aged versions of them, like, Donna Troy, Cyborg. I don't think Starfire's there, but her daughter is, so we don't know where she's at. And of course, Red Robin's with them, of course. But you also get to see Norman McKay on the satellite, and the Flash is so fast and living in so many different dimensions now. He kind of looks over and kind of like Boston Brand, he can see Norman McKay, so he just rips him out of whatever spectrum the Spectre has him in, and that's where he kind of gets to tell Superman, like, hey, look, I've been having these visions, dude, and the world's coming to an end, so you better figure out something quick because the current path you've launched everybody on is going to screw everybody. So that's when, once these things start happening at the Gulag, that's why I'm going to keep calling it. Thanks, Legend.
Yeah, sorry.
The Gulag is he knows they're like, oh crap, this guy's right. The guy did this stupid stuff. I sat on my hands too long. I made an even bigger mess now, so I got to go find Batman to help me out. And they're still kind of having their different waves of solving their problems. So I want to go ahead and just get into issue 4 at this point. So at this point, the action is hard hitting. It kind of corresponds to every one of the visions that Norman McKay has had throughout the 3 previous issues. So, Andy, what did you think about the opening of issue 4?
I'm getting back to it. I was still in the middle of 3 because 3 kind of becomes a who's who, like a Where's Waldo. There's a lot of more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Spectre's back with Norman. Norman, was it?
Norman, yes.
Norman McKay.
And the battle's going on. And like Drew said in issue 3, this is kind of a mess. It's kind of a hot mess at first. It's laid out very well, though, as far as from a first reader standpoint. I didn't have a hard time at all figuring out what to read and where to read next and to follow the story. And I did get a little confused with the whole deal in the UN. I didn't know really how that fit or the characters. But then when we get back into the action, that was pretty good. That was actually pretty fun.
Did you like this at the very end? Where you got... Let me show you all this one. This was so cool. So he's going as fast as he can to the freaking Gulag. And then all of a sudden, he sees the crack-a-boom, the Shazam lightning's going off. And then he's going, and then bam, he just gets knocked the F down. And damn, right there, dude, that's when I knew issue 4 was going to be something that's going to be big,
Yep, that was the end of issue 3,
yeah.
And then in issue 4 here, you actually see Wonder Woman kill somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I was actually surprised to see. I was like, oh, okay, we finally get to actually some finality here with some of these evildoers, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And then also shout out to my last Easter egg. Well, I don't know if it's really, he was on the cover of one of them. My boy John Henry Irons Steele, who realized that, hey, Batman, even though he can barely walk, he didn't run away and hide for 10 years. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw down the S shield and pick up the Batmantle. So I always thought this was like one of the most intriguing, cool story ideas. This is the one, besides, of course, my boy, Superboy. This is the book I wanted to read after this whole thing right here. Like the whole story of John Henry Irons deciding to become more of a Batman sympathy or whatever than Superman sympathizer. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I can't talk tonight.
That
John Henry Irons.
I like this panel. Let me share it again. But this Batman team here of his new outsiders is really cool because like you got your John Henry up there, you got your like some kind of wildcat there. But here's 2 guys. You got the Creeper and Ted Cord. I mean, you got all these cool characters. So And I love Ollie Queen. And you know, you gotta love, I don't know, there's just something about the old Green Arrow that, and then he goes with a force from on high. So then you got like these guys coming in to help Superman's Justice League, and boy, everyone's fighting everybody. And I love that about these kind of things where it's just one big ass battle to like kill them all, you know. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Gandalf was riding in at the end of Two Towers, and that sunlight hits the villains. That's what
Wonder Woman and Batman are like bitching back and forth.
Yeah, they immediately just start fighting.
And then she takes him up into the sky, and of course that's when they see the three, the big jets coming at them, and they got the big nukes and everything. And of course they're able to stop too. But you know, there's always that one that's going to get through and screw something up in a story. You know, so,
this story a little bit reminded me of Mark Millar's Civil War toward the end of that one too, where you know they put everyone in the negative zone prison. And then that goes pretty much the exact same way, minus the nuclear warheads, obviously. So, that's why I just kept thinking about that. So, Drew, we're on issue 4.
Civil War is definitely a ripoff of this story. It's executed at a much higher level, in my opinion, as far as like all the parts that are juggled in the narrative. But let's take all the villains, put them somewhere. Let's have all the heroes fight the rest of the heroes. Let's, have one overzealous hero decide what the rules are for everybody. There's a lot of Kingdom Come in Civil War. Let's just say that. Issue 4, man, like the Shazam Superman battle, I loved it. I thought that was great. I thought that Billy realizing that he should be the one to sacrifice himself in the end, I thought that was really cool too. And then the bomb falls, and it's like all but the toughest heroes survive, like are killed. So, like, of course, Batman, who's just a regular dude, lives.
Oh, there's Ted Cord.
But like, Batman's just a regular dude. But somehow he survives, which is dumb. And then Superman gets like really pissed that the UN launched these missiles, which was like his fault in the first place. And he goes and he's like lifting the roof off the place, and he's going to kill all the humans. And then Norman comes out and says, "Don't do it, Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it." And he's like, "Well, this regular jackoff told me not to do it. Maybe I shouldn't do it." And then Norman, because he's got faith in a fake god, Superman, now has a renewed faith in his real God, and then goes to his people and is like, blah, 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 Jesus, 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 everything's fine. And it's the dumbest fucking end to anything I've ever read of this quality. I am so annoyed by it. It's just, Ganthet, the fucking Green Lantern Yoda, couldn't have come down and been like, "Don't do it, Superman." Because that's all the dude does. It says, "Don't do it, Superman." And then Superman's like, "You know what? You're right." It's dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah, so if I remember right, I think there was like an in-office debate on how to end this between Waid and Ross. And I think ultimately Ross won out because, hey, his art was the seller of this book. I mean, originally, of course. It seemed like Mark Waid wanted to do something more like he did in Irredeemable, and that's kind of why he made the books Empire and Irredeemable, just so you could see this like snapped version of Superman, basically. And I think that's the way he kind of wanted to end it. Mm-hmm. Whereas, Kingdom Come would eventually, come when Superman snaps and starts, he's not a man anymore, he's super. And then I think that's where Ross is like, "Oh, hold on a minute, we're writing some classic characters here. I mean, we got to do Superman right." So, Norman McKay gets to do his speech about how Clark needs to be more man than super, and when he became more super than man, that he wasn't the hero he needed to be, basically. And obviously, going back to that issue 3 where he's talking to Arthur, King of Atlantis, and then Orion over on Apocalypse, you guys were dead on. Like, Superman has no idea how to like run a culture, and I think that's what people were expecting from him when he came back. Like, you got to be our leader. We're so lost without you. Like, help us out. And all he had, I mean, besides being a symbol of hope, he tried to be more than that. And ultimately he fell on his ass, basically. And Norman kind of had to rein him back in. So yeah, it was a controversial ending even back in the day. So I get the frustration on that for sure. To the point where I don't know if Waid and Ross ever worked together truly again after writing the ending of this. So Andy, you said you had a few frustrations with it too.
Yeah, like Drew said, it's kind of just any one of them could have done that. And then, you know, that one panel that I popped up accidentally at the wrong time. They're all dead. Like, almost everybody's dead except for Superman and a select few. Well, what was the point of the sacrifice then? It really kind of takes away from Captain Marvel's sacrifice. Because then, am I understanding this correctly at the end, is that the Spectre is revealed to be Captain Marvel?
No.
Who
he just reveals himself. He's Jim Corrigan.
Yeah, basically he was just revealing at one point he was a man too.
A human at one time.
So I'm reading too far into the face because just the painting in the face looks kind of similar to Billy earlier in the book.
Yeah. My favorite part of the issue, let me show you some of these panels here. I mean, when he's got, you know, the mouth, you know, the hand over Billy's mouth because he's tired of getting shocked by all that damn lightning. But then you get the tear, you know, coming down like the tear from his eye right there. But you get all of those close up, you know, just beautiful freaking art. Billy knows what he has to do. And of course, the zoom up on the mouth, he knows he's about to say it. Bam, Shazam. And he takes off, and old Superman's already in the sky ready to stop the nuke. But Billy, Shazam's hot on his trail. He pulls his leg so where he throws Superman back, and Captain Marvel's like, you know, I got this. And then he goes up there, Superman goes down, and then Superman knows, you know, what Billy, you know, Captain Marvel's trying to do. And then, of course, you know, everyone, they're all looking up above. You know, everyone's freaking the F out, and he's going to shock the shit out of that nuke. And then you get the big cross type symbolic, you know, Jesus dying on the cross thing. And the first time I read that, I mean, I was really in tears because for me personally, you know, my religious faith, you know, and I, you know, there's just probably no other way a human being or, you know, a superhero or whatever to save, you know, to sacrifice himself to like save others, even though, you know, they may have not saved them all, but hell, some of them lived, you know. But man, I loved it, dude. Damn, I was crying, but it was a damn good story, man.
If they both would have just flown up, they could have stopped all the nukes.
Yeah.
And Superman would have survived because he's Superman.
Yeah.
And Shazam could have just not used his lightning, and he could have just stopped them as Shazam
into space,
right? And then nobody would have died.
I don't know why Waid and Ross wanted to do it like that. You know, it is called Kingdom Come, so it was time for all those other jabronis to go to the afterlife. Oh God.
But I think the best part of this issue is the epilogue, basically, where you get to see the Trinity just go sit down and have a dinner.
Yeah.
That was the most entertaining part, in my opinion. And Andy, I'll let you talk about Batman and his steak order.
So this is the biggest reveal of the book. The biggest reveal of the book. The truth is laid out.
Is that Batman's an asshole?
He's a communist. Because only a communist would order a steak well done.
But what about the man of beef?
I think that they don't know what's going on with Batman at all, because in this epilogue, he's like wearing a white shirt and everything's white. Like, wait, he just changed his whole aesthetic because Shazam failed to save anybody? Like, what? I don't understand where they are all patting themselves on the back at the end of this book. They're patting themselves on the back so hard for failure. And it makes no damn sense. Like, there's some really, really cool imagery, but it's like, you know, they like Diana gets her crown back in Themyscira because they're like, well, you're a fuck up, so we might as well give you your crown back. What? Why? Why does she get any? And then like she's like, her and Superman are getting their bone on while he's like pulling this giant plow, which is a thing for like, it's like this giant anime plow. Like, I don't understand what's going on there. They go to this restaurant and they're like, oh yeah, we want you to be, Batman, we want you to be the godfather of our child. And even Batman's like, that's a stupid decision. I'm not a good parent. What are you people thinking? And at the end, it's just like he doesn't understand like spinach and cottage cheese is a Spectre platter. It's like, oh, I don't like the end of this book. I don't understand how, why, what. Like, I don't. It's just like a really, really enjoyable meal, for the most part. But when dessert gets there, like, you're allergic to everything and you start choking and dying at the table.
What about the part where Batman deducted that Wonder Woman was pregnant because she's gained weight and has gray hair?
Oh yeah,
such a dick move.
He is the world.
Apparently, he knows everything except for how to order a steak.
Yeah.
World's greatest detective, though.
Yeah.
and it was a Robin waitress.
Yeah, come on. Batman, not a great father. Come on. Really?
Oh,
Wow.
God.
Really?
Yeah, they could have left that whole part out. I mean, but
I
I kind of dug it. I mean, it was kind of funny. And you know, the emotional part with the whole, you know, Captain Marvel sacrificing himself, you know, and then the aftermath and all the dead bodies. You got the whole new Oa, and, you know, Alan Scott's going to be, you know, kind of be on the UN and probably doing his stuff out in space, you know, being the whole space cop thing. But I thought it was a good kind of more happy way, something positive to end on instead of just, you know, the sad stuff, you know.
The thing I just really don't understand is at the end, they're like, Bruce and Clark are like hugging it out. And it's just like, well, what happened to make them friends again? Oh, everybody else died, so we might as well be friends. It's like, that's really all there is to it. There's like no character reasons for that to really even happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of really cool, fun, like Easter egg moments throughout the entire thing. I'm telling you what, guys, I bought this giant freaking version of it, where all of these, you know, covers have a key to who each person is. You know, so there's a key,
shows all the characters,
right? Yeah. So you guys can play Where's Waldo. I also have cheat mode for the entire book, because after all these, you know, beautiful sketch pages and inspiration, these right here are all of the Easter eggs in each panel.
Nice.
Throughout the entire collection.
Ooh.
Which is pretty darn cool all the way through. Then you get a really nice gallery of pinups and covers, and a whole bunch of outlines and scripts for the entire story. Which I'm going to tell you right now, there's when you get to Elseworlds Kingdom Come first draft outline, if you just read this for like this 6 pages, 7 pages, or 8 pages, or whatever, it's way more enjoyable than the comic. There are a lot of ideas that get lost and muddied throughout format, I think, and a lot of that has to do with Ross's wonderful art. That it just kind of takes on a life of its own, and Waid's story kind of gets buried in it. And it's, you know, A Tale of Two Cities. It's a beautiful book. But it's you know, it's more sizzle than it is steak, in my opinion.
So there's 2 really good quotes in the chat, in my opinion. We got Chris Barrett saying, Billy's sacrifice is like the crucifixion of Christ. Nobody realizes what it means till it's too late. And then Gore Vidal said it could have ended a different way without anyone dying, but that wasn't the story Waid and Ross wanted to tell. It would have been called Kingdom Come. It would not have been called Kingdom Come, just been another superhero story.
Yeah,
it would have probably been better if it was just another superhero story, is what I'm saying. The trappings of Norman and the Spectre and all of the religious iconography that they kind of hand-fist into this book doesn't really come to any solid conclusion, because crisis is averted for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, but nobody else. and they all live happily ever after for some reason. And I feel like they don't learn anything about what happened along the way. There's no hero's journey that really pays off in any way in this book. There's a lot of really cool splash pages and paintings of Shazam and Superman fighting and just Superman doing Superman things, which is really cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't deliver on the promise of the end of the world, and it doesn't deliver on the promise of a true sacrifice that saves the world either. It's just this wishy-washy middle ground for me that comes up short.
Well, in my opinion, I think, obviously Captain Marvel was the martyr for their sins. So that's why I think that, he unfortunately had to go, but he tried to do the right thing. Unfortunately, he was only allowed to save a handful of heroes, thanks to, mainly Green Lantern's intervention. Thanks, Ganthet, by the way, for, helping Alan Scott with that power. You gave him all the good stuff. Ganthet, the little Yoda character did something more or less.
Green Lantern Yoda.
But yeah, he was the martyr, and I think Superman, realized that once, McKay's just like, hey, man, what you're doing, you're better than this. Mm-hmm. And I think Batman and Wonder Woman, they kind of also realized through Superman, the way they were going, they were all wrong, basically. Unfortunately, it took Captain Marvel's sacrifice for them to realize that, and, they are trying to be something different at the end. Normal human beings, basically. So you get to see Batman wearing that white shirt. You get to see Superman and Wonder Woman having a dinner with Batman and, ordering steaks well done with funny names and stuff. And, they're trying something different out. And, they're not forcing people to be heroes or villains anymore. They're just forcing themselves to be human, basically, and interacting with other humans now. It's an adjustment for them. You can tell through, especially Batman's body language and behavior at the end. But I absolutely love this book. It's still one of my all-time favorites for sure. I'm probably going to read it again very soon, and again after that, and again, because like I said, I love Alex Ross's art, and I've always loved Mark Waid. So like I said, I can complain out the ending a little bit. I could tell there were creative differences there, but at the end, I think I do get what they were going for at the end. So Legend, we'll go ahead and put a cap on this. So give us your final thoughts on Kingdom Come, and go ahead and give us your score.
I will. I love the story. Is it some crazy Alan Moore Watchmen? No, but it's pretty damn good. Normally just looking at the story and reading it all the way through, and for what it is, I would give it a 9.4. But with just the kick-ass man, Captain Marvel, Billy Batts and stuff, I got to go 9.6, near mint plus. It's going to be one of my top 10 story favorites of all time. And I love Elseworld style stories because it's something new, something we're not used to. It's an alternate reality. It's a parallel world type thing. And, Carson, me and you love us some good old sliders and stuff like that and all those type things. I freaking loved it. 9.6, near mint plus. I agree with Chris Barrett in the chat. 9.6. That's nice. Where it's at.
What about you, Andy?
I gotta go a 9.0 on this. I think if I reread it a few times and maybe give it a year and get some more DC reading under my belt and get a better grasp on a lot of the characters in the DC universe, I think this could push a higher grade for me. But where I'm at right now, being a first-time reader and only having read it, twice over the course of this last couple of days, I got to go 9.0.
Yeah, that's a good grade. 9.0, hell yeah.
True.
The art is phenomenal. There's no way to argue with that. There's some really fantastic designs. A lot. I mean, I got this extended edition here, and more than half the book is the book, and probably about 45% of it is all these keys and all these sketches and character notes and scripts, and you can tell that not only is there a lot of sizzle, there's a lot of steak. But unfortunately, that steak was ordered by Batman and cooked well done. This is no higher than a 7.0. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go same as Legend, 9.6. I think, that ending basically gave it that one little spine tick. But I'll go 9.6, gold label, double signed by Waid and Ross. Rose-colored glasses for me, nostalgia gimmick glasses, whatever you want to say. I love this as a kid. It made me want to read more of this universe. I remember getting all the other like Kingdom Come specials, Wizard World magazines, and all that fun stuff. Looking at those same keys that got reprinted in the trade that Drew has, and just trying to figure out the origins of these characters and how they got in this insane Kingdom Come Elseworlds world that they're in. But I just thought it was cool that you kind of hear this idea about an Elseworld story, because the Elseworlds label was something that it was well established in DC at this point, for sure. So they just took an idea and they ran with it pretty well. So I would say 9.6. And Knight says 9.6. Damn. So DKR is 25.9. I think I gave Dark Knight Returns also a 9.6. So I hold them pretty close in the same regard, in my opinion. So
they also have on the DC Universe app, if you're interested, they got the Magog Kingdom Come special. They also have a special Superman and a JSA Kingdom Come special. So if you wanted to read some more stories, you could do that and find out maybe a little bit more. But
this book actually has there was a portion of World's Finest in 2001 where you got Batmite fighting Mxyzptlk, and this actually reprints the pages from that as well, which I found to be enjoyable. It's just 3 pages of Mixie and Batmite visiting the Kingdom Come universe.
Nice.
Yeah, which was pretty fun. There's also in here something that I haven't even delved into yet. I can't pull it up. Oh, it's going to be forward. There's like a genealogy, right, that they came up with for all those characters that didn't have lines or anything to say. They did all the work and they put none of it in the book. I don't understand that. It's just such a lost opportunity for me. Yeah, it is what it is. It concluded with the trinity of the original and greatest Golden Age heroes. It was an homage to them, and like Christ, both are human and gods. You could say that, but it's like it's like if Christ didn't learn anything. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is. They don't have an arc. Like there's not. Superman doesn't have an arc in this book. It's like he's like, nah, Lois is dead at the beginning, and at the end he's like, nah, everybody else is dead. And then some dude's like, calm down, and he's like, guess I'll knock up Wonder Woman. That's what happens. Like he doesn't learn anything. He doesn't grow as a person. He doesn't have any point of reflection. It's just. I wanted.
She still.
I wanted. Yeah, man. But I want
the same baby as they had in Dark Knight Strikes Again.
That was actually pretty good. I'd probably put this at the same level as this.
Dark Knight Strikes Again.
I'll be the one. I'm not putting.
I enjoyed Dark Knight 3 better than this. I'm going to say that out loud.
Oh hell! What the?
Did you read DK3?
Put his head on his back and smack his head.
Nope.
I mean, this, I said, man, all sizzle, no steak.
Disagree.
All sizzle, no
and
steak.
that's where we'll put a cap on Kingdom Come. So I had a blast revisiting this. So we've talked about Kingdom Come for literally an hour and 28 minutes. So now is the time. I think we got to bring back an old gimmick here. So let's go ahead. And we got this wheel gimmick.
Anonymous.
Wow.
Of course, I'm not sponsored by Purdue University. Fuck them. I mean, IU, go Hoosiers. But anyway, sorry, I couldn't resist. All right, so the gimmick here is I'm bringing back the randomizer. I don't want to wait for poll results on Andy Given Thursday. Sorry, Andy. But anyway, I think for special episodes, we need to bring back the randomizer for funs and giggles. So at this point, see, Chris Barrett knows the drill.
Marvelous.
You guys type your suggestions into the chat of your favorite modern read or the next modern read you guys like us to visit. And we're going to spin this thing once and see what we're reading next week, basically. So why the chat is waiting. And I'll take Knights of the Old suggestion too. Red Sun Superman. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Red Sun.
Superman. Yeah, that's a good one.
Got a bunch of trades at the shop, so I'll throw some of those on there. How about book 1 of Transmetropolitan?
I love it.
Rob Worst has read that in.
I get to see my horrible spelling.
Modern Men, yeah.
How
Hopefully I spelled
about
that right?
Volume 1 of Superior Spider-Man?
Okay.
Ooh, Monstrous.
Yeah, keep Monstrous on there. Chew. We never got around to Chew. Put that on.
Yeah.
there.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Legend for you. I added Power of Shazam, Jerry Ordway.
Yeah, hell yeah. That
What about this one right here?
Justice. I can't see your screen, Drew.
This is Justice League Beyond.
Okay.
Sounds good. How about some Injustice Gods Among Us, Volume 1, Volume 2?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Old Taylor, Tom Taylor.
Ooh, I like Knights of Old's got G.I. Joe versus Transformers,
Okay.
one from the 80s.
Nice.
I think
Damn.
I have that actually.
I'd have to hunt it down.
I'd love to hunt that down. I've never read that.
Spider-Man Blue. I don't think we've read that one yet. Loeb and
Spider-Man Blue.
yeah, some Loeb and Tim Sale. That's right. Loeb
That's a
and
good
Sale.
one.
All right. I haven't even suggested one yet. I might throw Gotham Central on there.
Ooh.
You know what might save you the trouble of actually having to read something, Carson? How about Astonishing X-Men Volume 1?
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. How about that new X-Men run? Morrison's new X-Men.
Okay.
Morrison's New X-Men. That's a good one.
Wow.
Mr. Miracle.
You tell
I
I've
like
been
that.
up like all day. Okay. Mr. Miracle by William Byrd. What did you say, Andy? New X-Men?
Yeah,
Some Grant Morrison there.
Yep.
I'm going to put in Sandman.
Yes, please.
That's the Neil Gaiman stuff.
How about Super Sons Volume 1?
Okay.
How about V for Vendetta?
Okay. Interesting time to be reading V for Vendetta, but we'll throw it on there.
Right?
That wins for all the times it's failed on the randomizer.
I'm trying to think of
Chris
some
Barrett
other
says
good
Suicide
indie
Squad.
titles.
Okay, I'm going to go Green Lantern Earth 1. We were talking about that earlier.
Hey, did you put Wicked and Divine on there?
Not yet.
Ooh, there
Okay,
you go.
put that on there. We were talking about that earlier. How about Headlopper Volume 1? That's a good book.
Okay. Oh man.
Morrison's Doom Patrol. I'm definitely going with that, Gore Vidal.
Hey,
Ooh,
Carson,
that's
how
one I
about
have to hunt down.
some-
Is that on the app?
Yes, it was when I read it. What was that, Andy?
Hey, Carson, how about some Turtles related content?
Okay.
Yeah, Turtles Volume 1. Let's do that.
We're going to go IDW Run Volume 1. Yes.
I haven't
Did we-
read that yet.
Did we get Morrison's Doom Patrol?
Yes, we did.
Good.
How about Power Rangers Shattered Grid?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. What else?
Ooh, Hellblazer Volume 1 from Gore Vidal.
Man, I don't want my horse to be sick, but put it on the list.
I'm gonna put it on there. Yeah, I'm going to go with Nice of the Old G.I. Joe. And I'm going to do 21 through 48 because we can't read that much in 1 week. But I'm going to go G.I. Joe 21 through 30.
Cool.
Okay.
There is a great arc there, especially with that silent issue to
21
read it off.
That 21's that silent issue,
Yes,
right?
it is. It's a phenomenal issue of comic. It's
For
one of the
Storm
best for
Shadow?
sure. What else?
What about that Black Widow, Mark Waid, Chris Samney 12
Okay.
issue? And that's actually it's a quick read for 12 issues.
Oh, that's killing me now. I can't remember about 21 if it's first Storm Shadow or
I gotta suggest one DC read. I'm trying to think of what would it's something I would really like, and you guys wouldn't. What would it be? Should we just do Green Lantern Rebirth?
it is.
I don't know if I read that.
Dude, Green
It's
Lantern.
got a
Rebirth. Why
particular
not, man?
artist on it that I
Oh,
sworn
you don't
off of.
like who's that? You don't like what's his face? Liam Sharp or whatever?
No,
JLA
it's
the
not
Nail
Sharp.
has been suggested.
Emerald Twilight. Chris Barrett says some Emerald Twilight.
It's on there.
Hey, Star Wars stuff is
The
really-
Nail.
How about a Star Wars volume?
Ooh, yeah, that'd be good.
So we read Vader. Did we read the first Star Wars? Put Star Wars Volume 1 on there, the Marvel stuff.
That are the stuff from Dark Horse with the first Ahsoka Tano.
put a
That book's supposed to be going up, isn't it, Andy? The
Wolverine and the
Ahsoka.
X-Men on there.
Oh God, it's already skyrocketing in price. It did earlier quite a while, and it's just getting really
real hot.
Yeah.
Any
Chad
good
said Batman
runs?
and Robin
Any good
previously.
recent runs? We haven't done the first 6 Immortal Hulk. Let's put
How
that on
about
there.
that Heroes in Crisis? It's just better than Immortal Hulk, isn't it?
We can do Heroes in Crisis. I can vamp on how terrible that is for 8 hours.
Get that horse. Horse is dead on that one, eh?
No, I'm going to filibuster about what a piece of shit it is.
Oh,
I love that stuff. DC.
How about Justice League Darkseid War?
Ooh, that would be a good one.
that's
That's
a hell of a list we got going.
Yeah, man. Well, it's
Yeah,
the
that's
more
what
we
I'm saying.
got, the more random it gets. Kanan, Chris Barrett said Star Wars Kanan the Last Padawan. I like that.
I'm gonna go Dark Empire. DC New Frontier. Yeah.
Damn, a little bit of old school.
Ooh, New Frontier's long though, isn't it?
We'll read part 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arkham Asylum. I think it's gonna be the cutoff here.
Yeah, Morrison's Arkham Asylum. That's one I got at the library.
We're gonna
Let's
spin
give
this
it a
one
spin.
time. I don't even know what's what here.
Oh, wow.
Jeez, so
Here we
many.
go.
Oh my god, that is
Here we go.
What's it gonna be?
Dark Empire.
Oh,
Oh, DC New Frontier. Oh,
Hey!
Star Wars Dark Empire.
wow.
sweet.
That's gonna be awesome. That's available on Marvel Unlimited as well.
Sure.
Nice.
So that should be easily accessible. I'm pretty pumped for that actually. That's a great pick. So who suggested that one? Knights of Old. So big thanks, Knights of Old, for that awesome pick. That was like the first Star Wars comic I ever read. So I can't wait to revisit
Dark
that.
Empire, man.
I haven't
That's
read
gonna be
Dark
awesome.
Empire in forever.
So yeah, we'll see how well it's aged. I have number 1 right there up on my wall. Yeah, he says he has number 1 too. So another role book for me I get to read. That's awesome. Yeah, Cam Kennedy. Can't wait. So
I have not read Dark Empire, and I have not read a lot of the older Star Wars stuff, and I've just gotten into Star Wars as comic books, and I actually have gotten so deep into it that I rewatched all of the Star Wars content the last 2 weeks.
same. I
Yep.
did too.
That guy did.
We should almost do a show or something on it.
I like the Star Wars comic books. Every Star Wars comic book I've ever read, whether it be Dark Horse or the Marvel stuff, I've thoroughly enjoyed it because I'm a Star Wars movie fan. So you get to see alternate stories you don't see in the movie. So I mean, it's always something new, and that's really cool.
Nice. And maybe we should take next week as an opportunity to go back to the movies as well, because I know we've talked about that as well. So
Hell
we're talking
yeah.
movies next week. We're going to continue talking the movies next week again, too, to see how far we get. So it's going to get to the point where we only cover like 1 year at a time, I think. We're getting into the thick of it with the comic book movies. So, yeah, we'll talk Dark Empire next week, and then I'll have to go back in the record books to see where we left off and then continue from there. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. And then Chris Barrett does say, I'd like to almost wonder if there's a tally out there how many times Marvels and V for Vendetta have lost our randomizers and polls over the last 35 weeks.
This is episode 35, so I'd say about 35 times.
Oh, that's all. Oh, and Chris Barrett says we left off at 2016. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the update because my memory sucks. So thank you. All right, so we're at, it's 11:43 here. We'll go into final thoughts here. So, Andy, what do you got going on this week, and where can people find you?
My horse will never be sick. I will read anything you guys drag me through, no matter how good or bad it is. I have a ton to learn. That's why I'm here. I really enjoy it. You guys can find me here every Monday night on Modern Men on the Comic Core, the best book club show that I've ever been a part of. And you guys can find me on Andy Given Thursdays every Thursday, where we're coming up with topics and doing a talking head panel and trying different things and seeing what's what. And you guys can find me on my own channel where I do some unboxings, and I do actually just did a video last week where I sent off some stuff to CGC. Looking forward to getting those grades back. And you guys can find me on the Pinkies Out podcast on anchor.com, actually, which disperses that to all your favorite podcasting applications.
What about you, Drew? Where can people find DruManchu?
Oh, man, you can follow me at DruManchu Comics, twitter.com or whatever in your applications. And also follow the Comic Core on Twitter, _comic_core_. And follow us on Instagram as well. Find out what we're doing. On my own channel, I did a live stream this past week where I did an unboxing. Also, have been streaming some gaming as well. If you want to watch me die playing Call of Duty, check out some of those streams. I did have some technical difficulties today, but we figured that thing out eventually. And guys, stay tuned to the Comic Core for all the cool things we got going on. Weekly shows are continuing. We got Golden Guys tomorrow night. I'm going to send out some social media for JD. They're doing a half year in review as far as they're collecting. They're going to see where they're going to go moving forward with the rest of the year, with their lists and what their goals are going to be, as well as they're going to check out that spinner rack and take you back to early June in the Golden Age. So be sure to check out those guys. Knights of Old in the chat can tell you all about it. Hit him up on his social medias and ask him, hey, what are you guys talking about on Golden Guys? And he'll be like, I don't know, whatever JD tells us.
Very nice. What about you, Legend? Where could people, didn't you just have a Legends Truth last night?
Yeah, over there on youtube.com/r.n95, the great Legend, as always, coming at you live with comics, cooking, gaming, and the truth. I've really going to get back into doing stuff on my channel. Currently, I got a poll going on. Since we did have the Legends Truth last night, it was all about clout and what that means and all that stuff. We're going to be doing the poll here, and we got some Golden Age comic book unboxing, 1/4, 1 Life, or the Great Chef Show. And right now, the Great Chef Show is in the lead with 50%. So you never know. I may be in the kitchen doing a little bitching, man. I don't know, but we're going to see on the Great Legend Show. You just tune in. Wednesday, the poll closes, so make sure you get your votes in. And then sometime during the weekend, we'll have a video available on the Great Legend Show. So you never know what it's going to be unless you vote here in the comic book community. That's it.
Nice. So I did have one last announcement. I almost forgot. You know, usually when a wrestling like WWE has pay-per-view, they'll start slowly hyping up the next pay-per-view and building up toward that. So here we go for the next announcement. So I thought about making like a teaser or something, but it really sucks. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to make a straight up announcement. So Modern Men Week 40, which is slated for July 13th. So tentatively, we are planning to read Why the Last Man, Volume 1, a volume that Andy has never read because he's never read Why the Last Man. And I'm really excited for Andy, who's a huge Saga and Brian K. Vaughan fan, to get a chance to read Why. So, Andy, you got your volume already bought, or you got to do some homework first?
So, you know, I'm finding out that I can get the whole series in hardback right now for a very good price if I shop around. So I've got 4 weeks, and everybody in the chat watching that wants to read along, we've got 4 weeks to prep for this. So if you need to save up a little bit of money or need to find a library that has it available, we've got time. Because
I've never read it either. So
man. Well, now will be the time. I hope so. Like I said, my one thing about this channel is I hope we can at least influence one person out there to try something out they haven't read. So
every week it's me.
Yeah. Yeah, if nothing else, Andy's gonna absorb the knowledge, and then I'll forget all of the knowledge. So that's usually the gimmick around here. I just keep things.
Any chance we can get Alec and the Comic Smurf to come on and talk about why?
That's my goal. I was gonna do an open invitation, and I'll send them invites and stuff on IG. Anybody who was a part of Story Comic Core, the initial show that was original on Monday, is more than welcome to join us that Monday.
Who's the original? Alex Smurf and Kenny.
Yeah, Alec was the host. You had Caleb Comic Smurf Murphy, who big, huge Ampersand fan. That's why the teaser, I was going to have a big old red ampersand and write July 13th on the bottom of it, but I'm like, it looks terrible. And then you had Kenny Comic Head 84, and then YouTube is 90. Drink.
Oh yeah, 90 was on that show. Yeah.
He got replaced by Cantu.
Yeah, somebody's got to mail Comic Smurf Murphy a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Well, dude, you know what? They don't get Wi-Fi in the Smurf village, and they got to make sure. They're always looking over their shoulder for Gargamel and Azrael because, man, when those two get close, man, Smurfinator is he's unsafe around there.
We got to find a new recruit and tag him as the Comic Snork.
Snorks, classic.
Snorp. Oh, well,
Wow.
Other than that, I think that's all we got for tonight, guys. So, Legend, we can have you on the show, man. You got to sign us out.
All right, man. Well, I'm so glad everyone in the chat and everyone watching on the rewind is watching Modern Men every Monday nights, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. These guys, Carson, Woodard, Seawood19, Andy Given Thursday, my main man, ComicManAndy, and DruManchu, baby. They're going to be going over the hottest modern books. And you know what? All you got to do, get involved in the randomizer. Go to the community tab, vote for what you want to read in the modern era, and the Modern Men will be bringing it to the table every Monday night on Modern Men. Fans for Seawood19, ComicManAndy, and DruManchu, baby. This is the great legend saying peace out. God bless.